RHL podcast. And today we have a very special guest, Jeff Babb, joining us. Jeff Babb, captain of Eminence Front, and also now a member of Little Big Men, playing both in D1, D2. Jeff, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, finally, we've been waiting for a while to have you on the show here. Finally got you on board. You've been one of our more popular players, been playing with us for a while here. And as your girlfriend, Rachel Parker, always messages me, is the game going to be streamed, son? I want to watch his games. I'm his biggest fan. Always checks your stats, always messages me on a weekly basis usually. Tells me that you live for Mondays. Mondays are your days. So you must be a very big roller guy. Tell me about your roller experience, why you are such a big roller fan, and about your hockey experience in general, playing-wise.
I basically first got into roller hockey because of my best friend back in Jersey. He kind of got me into playing hockey, and because my parents would never let me play growing up. They're just like, we like your teeth where they are, you know? So it's like, we wear cages, right? The protective stuff. They're not going to just let kids get their teeth knocked out. But so I didn't play for the longest. I mean, even then when I played, I started in 2007. So at that point I would have been 24.
Wow.
He I just bought some skates. We would go to these outdoor parks and try to skate around and practice passing and shooting and that kind of stuff. And, maybe try a couple plays, all right, what I want you to do when I come in, kind of come and chill behind me, and I'm going to kind of take it, drop it, and then use me as a screen to shoot, try to teach me a few things here and there. It was, he kind of got me into it from there, and then I was like, yeah, I really want to play. And my parents were still like, we like your teeth. And I'm like, Mom, a cage, okay? Cage.
They have cages now. Exactly right.
Yeah. So I got all the equipment, and I played for at least a few years. And then I kind of got out of it for a year or two, and then I moved down here from Jersey down to DC area. Mm-hmm. Got out of it for a couple more years, and then Ben St. Louis.
Yeah.
St. Louis. He actually
played in our roller league with Jason Stelter, better Jason Stelter, who plays as a goalie in our league. Yes. So he got involved.
He knew that I liked hockey, and he's like, yeah, there's a roller hockey league starting up in Rockville. And I'm like, really? And I looked at where it was, and I'm like, this is 2 minutes from my apartment. This is perfect. So yeah, and then I joined the first season that you guys had RHL, and I've been playing ever since for that one. So I mean, I've been although I had a few year break in between, been playing for, I guess this is coming up on my 12th year then.
Wow. Question that roller experience you mentioned earlier, your first time, was it your first hockey experience playing roller as opposed to ball or ice?
I mean, I had gone on roller skates as a kid, but I definitely wasn't a strong skater or anything like that. So I mean, even when I started playing, I mean, I played a couple street hockey ones on foot and everything, pickup games for the town, with kids in the neighborhood or whatever. But yeah, I never played an actual league or and then even that, actually the Jersey league that the first league I joined was puck. So then when I came down here and we started off with ball, and it was just I was like, could we try a puck? 'Cause this ball, somebody whacks at it, it's up, and it goes and shoots that way. I'm like, this isn't cool. I'm skating up behind it to try to cradle it and bring it up for a breakout, and now all of a sudden I got to stop and go after it. So I'm glad that we switched and have stayed switched too. So, but I think that's also been a big draw for why we've grown as much as we have over the last few years.
Good point, because we went from a league that was ball players playing roller, not to actual roller players, actual inline players, which is good for us. Yeah. Now, the key, as you mentioned earlier, is when you got started, skating. Were you already a good roller skater? How did your skill develop?
Not necessarily, no. I mean, yeah. I mean, when I first started skating, I was kind of I had to find my legs and everything, and I guess kind of a nice thing for me is I've played sports growing up my entire life. I mean, from in elementary school to junior high school, I probably played every sport you could think of, Wow. And then even in high school, I played baseball up until I was a freshman in high school. And then I had to choose because I played tennis as well. So I had to choose between the two of them, and I chose tennis because, I mean, I at that point I was like, I don't know if I want to deal with breaking balls and curve balls and all that kind of stuff. Whereas I do pretty well at tennis, and I mean, I ended up being by the time I was a senior, I was the number 3 player on the team. So, and then football, I played wide receiver, defensive back, kicker. I almost kicked in college. I got offers for D3, but I tried for D1 and then just screwed up. But so this was kind of
a kicker. You were kicking football. Okay, wow.
Yeah.
So definitely feel the pain of the Chicago Bears kicker, right?
What's that?
Feel his pain, the Bears kicker. A couple weeks ago. You feel his pain, I'm sure.
I kind of laugh at that actually more than if that was me, yes, that was like I hate that, but so both my parents went to Penn State, so I've been born and raised a Penn State fan, and the Bears' old kicker was Robbie Gould, who went to Penn State, and they let him go.
Yes, they did.
So when he went, then after they let him go, the Giants picked him up. I'm a Giants fan, so I immediately bought his jersey. But I'm just kind of like dumbfounded. Like, why would the Bears let him go? He was like the number 7th most accurate kicker of all time.
Was it money? That was a money issue, wasn't it?
I don't know the entire. I'd have to look up to see what the story was. I don't know why they let him go, but yeah, it was.
So, wow. So from a kicker in college football to a roller player now, would you say roller hockey is your favorite sport right now?
I mean, to play right now, yeah. So yeah. I mean, I still love hockey. I mean, obviously, I'm a Devils fan, so I don't get to watch as many games down here. But yeah, I would say, football as far as watching, that's kind of been since I was a kid. So that's kind of like Penn State football specifically. So that's kind of my number 1. But I'd say Devils hockey is definitely my number 2.
What are we going to talk about? Devils hockey or Devils fan? I'm an Honest fan. And just a side note, we're taping this game, this episode after a Devils Islanders game. Didn't go well for the Devils, but
I didn't see the score, but yeah, they trounced like a couple nights ago. They had that 8-5 win.
Goals. Yeah, 8 goals, right?
Yeah, and then they got killed 2 nights ago against who was it? The Coyotes or something?
Blue Jackets.
Blue Jackets, that's right. Yeah, and it's like they scored all their goals the night before essentially, and then I didn't get to look at tonight's game though.
Same deal with tonight, 4-1 Isles won domination. Now, obviously, let's give Devils. You're a Devils fan. Have you watched a lot of Devils games this season? Have you watched a lot?
I watched a lot at the beginning of the season, and I haven't had a chance to watch as much lately. But hopefully, things will kind of calm down for me, and I can watch a little more.
Get a Devils fan perspective on this. The team obviously has got injuries that hit you guys hard this year, obviously. Last year, when you guys had a great run there, team did very, very well. The expectation was the team to take the next step forward. What has been the issue this season, in your personal opinion, as a Devils fan watching the games?
Well, I mean, through the first 4 games, it was fantastic. Great start, It was 4-0. We're like, yeah, we're gonna be 82-0. This is great. And then Paul Mary scored 2 goals each of the first 3 games, I think it was. So we're making jokes of that. Oh, the road to 164. But and then even after they lost the first game, we're like, you can't win them all. I'm still okay with 81-1.
What's changed? I was interested in one issue, but what to you has changed the direction of what happened early? Now you guys are going, doing some south right now.
I mean, for the first few games that I watched, they were very fast. They were very aggressive, and just the game overall was very on point. Like they had the basics down, and then they were also having good rotations, great shots, great setups. Everything was going really well for them in that matter. Lately, it's been, like you said, they've had injuries. When I went to the Caps Devils game, there's a lot of games that I've watched too that they still look like they're the ones just really controlling the game.
Driving the play, okay.
Yeah, but they're not getting as many goals as they were. And then, even the goalie situation sometimes can be a little iffy for them. Like Kincaid started off fantastic, and then he kind of fell off a little bit. And they're like, oh, well, we're going to bring back Schneider, and he's going to be doing great, because Schneider's our new starting goalie. And I honestly, I've never really been that high on him, but really? He came back. Since he first got injured, he hasn't been nearly as good as he was before. And even before that, I was kind of spoiled with Brodeur, but he's good, but he's not that good.
Sean Burke? I mean, I go back. Remember Sean Burke before Burke too. When
Yeah.
with the Devils with the old what's that Jim? What's the guy's coach? The redhead. The coach. Jim Schoenfeld. Jim Schoenfeld.
Oh,
Sean
John
Burke.
McClain. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. No worries there. Now, just, again, I mean, I don't watch Devils every day, but from what I saw today and what I've seen so far, your younger players haven't stepped up. They're struggling. Nico's struggling. Those guys are struggling for you. So those players who were expected to take the next step forward haven't done so. With the injuries, it's caused a problem. Now, your coach, one last question to the Devils. Your coach, surprisingly, got an extension 2 weeks ago. I read about that. I was stunned at that. The Devils are struggling. They're supposed to be a playoff team, and your coach gets an extension. How do you feel about that?
See, before,
Mm-hmm.
you know now, before it was Lou Lamoriello.
Yes,
and like
the RHL, which I love, by the way.
Oh yeah, it's right. He did leave the Isles, I guess, then too. But yeah, when you had Lou, it was kind of especially when they had like the '95 team. He's putting this team together, and everybody's like, "Who the hell are these guys? What's going to go on with this?" And then all of a sudden, you find out this team is full of all-stars. You got Scott Niedermayer, Scott Stevens, John Madden. Actually, I think John Madden was at that time. Patrick Elias, Bernard. Like, you had this amazing team. And then there's
Danico, the guy.
And then Danico, Mr. Devil.
Yes.
I mean, they just had this huge but nobody knew it at the time, obviously, because they hadn't really had, but something that Lou saw in them, kind of thing. And then I think similar things kind of happened with the 2000, 2003 Stanley Cup teams as well. And there was even I don't know if you probably know the blog that they have, In Lou We Trust.
Yes.
So it's like you don't know what's going on, but it's like, you know what, Lou's done it before, so you just gotta trust that he knows what's going on. So, but now, I mean, with the new GMs, it's like you're never quite sure. I mean, obviously they're trying to get to come up to the way the rules have kind of adjusted to where they want the fast-paced, high-scoring type of games. So they're trying to get those younger, faster guys, and whether they're getting worn out or they're, what's going on with them, you're never quite sure. But I mean, obviously Nico's shown that he's got huge talent. I've loved watching Miles Wood like over the last couple years, like where you just see him blast by everybody for these breakaways. He's just so fast. But I mean, even more recently though, like now that they brought up Blackwood to try for a goalie, I mean, his first 3 games, he had 2 wins with 2 shutouts, so it's like, all right, well, what's going on with this guy? Like, you never know whether it's kind of, they've got that extra adrenaline and they're really ready to go, and then maybe that wears off. That may be kind of, something they've been trying real hard, and then the adrenaline wears off. Maybe they're slowing down a little bit and trying to get back to that kind of state, I guess, might be what they really need, but...
Well, the good thing about the Devils, it may be it's still time left in the season, but you have a lot of good young pieces. So,
hey, no matter what, we're still ahead of the Flyers.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. All right, let's get back to the RHL, the Roller Hockey League that we play in. Let's go over some of the games here. You play in both divisions, so you know the teams pretty well. So we're going to go back, and if you don't mind, we're going to go through game by game. Ask your opinion on these teams as well, too. And then we'll spend more time on your 2 teams. And you can give me your thoughts about the 2 teams you play on as well, too. Last Monday, starting off with the schedule we had last Monday, your team on D2 Little Big Ben had a bye. The first game of the night was Hurricanes versus Wheelers, a game where the Hurricanes 4-0. They won the Cup last year, and this year without Eddie Owen, Nick Berry scoring goals. They're young rookie scoring goals as well, too. Another good game for them. Tim Longo, the rookie goalie, played well. He's 4-0 in nets. He's playing some of the time with Dennis Jimenez as well, too. The goals came from Nick Berry and Dan Greenberg, and 4 from Matt Krause. So they won 9-3 over the Wheelers. Tell me about your thoughts on the Hurricanes. You play them all the time out there. Your thoughts on this team. Can they go back-to-back in your division, D2 division?
Well, I mean, first of all, I just have to say that I'm glad that Eddie's no longer in goal, because I don't know. I think he's probably robbed me more than anybody else that I've played against. Fez is probably a close second, but no, I mean the Wheelers, I remember, I mean, last year, yeah, they did pretty good. But the thing I tend to notice before last year, I guess, they seemed very streaky. I guess it depended on which of their guys kind of showed
Yeah.
up. But overall, I mean, they've got a good team, a lot of guys that have been playing together for a while, so they can kind of get their passing going. They can get the breakouts if they want to. They don't always have the fastest guys, but they definitely have the experience and the like I said, the positioning, and so they can move the puck very well. So yeah, if you play too loose against them or give them a little bit of room, they'll take advantage of it. So that if they continue playing the way that they have, and I think. I mean, yeah, they said they're 4-0, so obviously we, little big men, we lost to them then too.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean,
Well,
that's kind of the nice part.
Were you there? It was 2 weeks ago when you lost to them. It was a comeback. It was that great comeback they had.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
we've had a couple of those
yes.
tough losses.
Yes, it was a tough loss. So it was the game where you guys got blown out. Just a tough loss. Where they came back and made a great play at the end and win it. So
yeah,
you guys,
was that last week that one happened? Or was it 2 weeks ago?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
because last week we had another one that they came back. They scored 5 goals in like the last 5 minutes or something like that, and ended up winning 9-8 or something like that.
So that was the game. That was the game.
That was the game.
Okay.
The game. Yeah, great.
All right, let's go to game number 2. It was Blades of Steel against the Stanley Capitals team you played on last season. And the Stanley Capitals, building their roster.
I played with Blades up until this season.
Yeah, you have both teams, exactly. Dan Knight with a hat trick, Alex with 2 goals, and Chris Hans in goals. Chris Hans, he plays on your D1 team on the floor. And they won. They beat the Blades of Steel 5-2. Your thoughts on those 2 teams?
Yeah, I mean, Chris he played a little, I think 1 or 2 games in goal with us last season.
Yes, he did.
He mostly played defense when I was there, but I mean, he seems to be doing pretty well in goal then too, because I mean, he was even saying, he's like, look guys, I haven't really done this, be easy on me if I don't do so well. And yeah, I mean, he moves pretty well in the goal, so you can't really say anything bad about him for that. And then, I mean, since they seem to be doing well, and Dan's obviously was a big addition to them to kind of help them give that skill and experience. Because are they triplets, or are they just look a lot of like
just brothers?
Just brothers. Okay.
Maybe twins, but I think Anthony's still
okay.
So
those guys always kind of skate hard and everything. Sometimes a little too hard, but but yeah, no, they've always got that determination to go after it. So now bringing that along with a guy who's going to give them like maybe a little bit more direction and coaching and stuff. So that I mean they could obviously take strides this year.
They're moving up. Yeah, they're moving up as well too. Let's look at the D2 standings right now. Your team at a bye. Hurricanes 4-0. Capitals are 2-1 right now. Little Big Men 1-2, tied with Blades of Steel, and the Wheelers currently 0-3. Let's talk about Little Big Men. Your team you had a bye. You are currently, I believe, just 1 point away from the score. You have the most goals in the team. You've got 6 goals, 4 assists. You're 1 point away from being tied with David Boyer for the most points on the roster. Your first season with Little Big Man. Tell me about what's happening so far on that team.
So, I mean, I know we got a couple new people. We got a husband and wife, right?
Yes.
Sophie and
I'm not sure if it's husband and wife, but at least partners. I'm not sure if they're married. I don't know, but
okay.
Sophie,
all right, that was my understanding. But yeah, we got a couple on our team. How's that?
Yeah, there you go. We have two, right?
Yeah, no, so I mean, and Sophie's actually been doing really well. This past game, she had a nice rebound goal. She had a bunch of really nice passes. One that's actually set me up for one of my goals. I mean, both of them have been doing well. We got Jungs. Jungs always just a monster, like a guy that can get to both ends of the ice probably quicker than most people that are out there. It's I think the hardest part for us obviously has been just finishing. I think both of our losses were comeback losses, essentially. Yeah. So, the last one was probably the most gut wrenching because we're up by 4 goals, and then they said they scored the last 5 to end up winning that, and that's kind of like how do you let that go? It's almost like I remember announcers like for the NHL saying 2 goals the deadliest lead because if they score 2 then there's a good chance they're going to get that third to kind of go ahead. And it's like Apparently we made it the 4 goals is the deadliest lead, you know.
Good point. Now you also got David Boyer as well too. What do you need to do? You know, last year you were a top seed. You weren't on the team last year, but they were a top seed, and they were upset. What do you need to do? How do you need to play as a little big man to succeed the rest of the way in the playoffs?
I mean, although, like I said, we had a couple tough losses, but we have, I think we have a really good team that's there. So, I mean, as long as we can, I know for both teams of mine that we've had kind of trouble getting the full roster there.
Yes,
So that's,
point. Good point.
trying to play short, having only 1 or 2 subs kind of thing for a total.
Good point.
So that if we can get the full roster there, I think we could do really, really well. But even when we're short, we still do well. It's kind of but keeping that up and making sure that we don't let up and letting them that momentum shift that the other team can take over and end up taking over us essentially as well. So it's being able to.
Well, questions. Is fatigue a factor? I mean, sometimes you're sure. You got 2 losses where the team came back. Was fatigue a factor with those 2 losses, in your opinion?
I think partially because I think last week we only had 1 or 2 subs again. Like I said, so it's. And like I said, for the Hurricanes especially, you give them that little bit. If somebody kind of took that one lazy step to try to cover somebody, or you make that one bad pass,
Right.
or kind of give it up by accident. Even it doesn't even have to be something like just laziness. It could be, oh, I just made a bad pass and they took it and they went with it. So, and I think that's exactly what happened to us last week. Is they kind of took advantage of all that and came back and won it. So you can't blame anybody but yourself essentially at that point. All we had to do is hold on to the puck for an extra minute and we would have won.
But those are games. I'm sure you've been on the other end of those type of games. So those games are exciting to play. I know when you lose, it's heart wrenching, but fun games to be involved in. You're going to get your share on the other end as well, too. Let's go back to the next 2 games we had on Monday, D1 games. The third game of the day involved your team, Eminence Front, against That's What She Said. I thought you guys played pretty well. The final score was That's What She Said, 9, Eminence Front, 5. That's What She Said is currently the defending champs right now, and they're a pretty loaded team. Your thoughts on your team?
Yeah.
The captain of this new expansion team, obviously. Expansion teams have a tough draw because they have to go against experienced teams, especially in D1 where there's chemistry as well. But I think your team has done pretty well. Your thoughts on your team and the expansion roster so far?
Yeah, I mean it's the same thing. Like I said, it's I think the toughest part we've had is having a consistent number of guys there. We've been consistent, but the problem is we've been consistent with missing like 2 or 3 guys every week.
Yeah.
So we haven't necessarily gotten to gel and fully with each other, but I believe, like you said, this week I knew it was going to be a really tough game because even last week, That's What She Said this week they had 4 guys, so they had no subs. Last week they had no subs. And they destroyed the team they played last week too.
That's right. Great chemistry, absolutely.
Yeah, they're very good. They know how to play very well positionally. I mean, even with playing us this week, there was a part where you could tell that they kind of, to recharge, they were kind of playing around with the puck in their own end for a little bit. And I mean, we weren't pressing them as hard just to make sure we could try to cover them. But because of that, they kind of just took it back, sat behind the net for like 10 seconds or something like this before somebody kind of came up. All right, then they'll come out and then they'll do kind of Russian circles, trying to just calm each other down, like each other get a little bit of a breath. And so, but yeah, I mean, they play really well positionally. Really fast, very and then Kevin with his loving his toe drags and everything for his stick handling and whatnot. I don't even know how he got a couple of his goals. But yeah, no.
Going for goals, he had 5 goals. Steve Willoughby, very underrated, had 2 goals. Evan had 2 goals. For your team, you scored. Eric scored as well. Gavin Scott and Chris Hahn scored as well too. Now you are leading as a captain. Great to have a veteran player like yourself, captain the team, leading the team in goals. And also Eric, I believe, if I had to guess, and you would have Eric, I believe was your second best scorer. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. I mean, we haven't actually had him for 1 or 2 games as well. So
Oh,
like,
oh yes, right.
yeah. So Eric's definitely got a lot of speed experience. So he was kind of helping us keep. That's what she said in check for a bit too. Like he made a couple of really good steals, a couple breakaways. He would make guys kind of chase after him a little bit, try to make them skate a little bit, essentially. Trying to tire them
Right.
out so that way we could, because we knew they had no subs. But yeah, and it's trying to get everybody else just to make sure we get it's kind of, and I kind of preach to the guys too. It's like, all right, well, first and foremost, the thing you have to have in this league is strong basics. Positioning, good passing, keeping your head up, not just not kind of making those type of rookie type of mistakes that you can get, because guys will come in and take advantage. And especially there's certain teams that you seem to always play that every bounce seems to go their way.
Yeah.
Like
that. Yes.
that wasn't the case this one. I think we were pretty okay with that one, but I know that the last week one that we had, I forget who that one was against. I think it was Rough Riders.
Yes.
Or not.
Was it Rough Riders? I go back and check the schedule.
Yeah, Rough Riders, because it wasn't. I
Yeah.
keep getting them confused with High Rollers, but yeah, it was Rough Riders, and there was one where like somebody tried to make a pass up to me, so I tried to like kind of cradle with my skate a little bit. It hits the wrong part and goes sideways, goes straight to one of their guys' sticks. Like I was like, come on, like the guy who makes a pass, I'm able to get my stick on it and deflect it sideways where another one of their guys is to be able to take it up and go. And I was even yelling at Jeff, the ref. So like there's one where the puck's coming, somebody's pushing it up the board, so I can try to take it and try to get a breakout with it. It hits his foot and stops, so like I have to stop and try to go after it. Yet there's another one that if he would have stopped, it would have been perfect. I could have grabbed and kept going with, but no, he missed that one. So it's like, it's like every bounce. But I don't know. I mean, I think it partially luck, because when you have one that's, I block it with my stick, but it still ends up going sideways to another guy. But then also they're another team that positions very, very well, and then you got guys like Jeff on their team. There's a lot of Jeffs in this league. He's probably the best player in the league too, like, or one of, if not.
Yeah, I would say right up there. Absolutely.
Yeah, he's very fast, very, got great stick handling. He's the guy that'll, you think you got a breakaway and all of a sudden somebody's kind of picking your stick up and he's right behind you.
Yeah, they're very good. They're a very good team. Let's talk a little bit about just one more time about the Eminence front here. This is a team that we put together this season, a D1 team, and I chose you to be the captain. So what were your thoughts process? I didn't even tell you. I said, I'm going to choose a veteran player who I trust. I chose you. Didn't even ask if you want to be a captain or not, but hopefully you do want to be a captain. Your thoughts on now being a captain of a team and how your responsibility changes on a game day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know you had made me a captain for another team too that Kevin was on before.
Oh, yes, Kevin Klimzak. Bandits, right? Was it Bandits something? I forgot what it was.
I forget what the name of it was for that one. Yeah, that one I knew was kind of going to be like a 1-season thing, because I know Kevin likes to kind of come and go. And I mean, it was him, his brother, and it seemed like a couple of his friends. So like, I didn't expect that team to last, and it didn't. But yeah, for this one, it was like, all right, this could be a team. And obviously, when I reached out to everybody, I was like, we're yellow. I don't know how many people actually have yellow jerseys. So if you guys want, there's a site here. I could get it for like, $20-something bucks, and we can get our names and numbers on it. And pretty much everybody was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. So it sounds like, guys that want to stick around too. So, so being made captain, it was kind of fun for it, because like I was hoping to be able to take it over for Blades then too after Jay left, but then Dan brought in, and I don't know if you knew him from before, but then he became captain and everything.
He brought in other people from his league too, so he was
okay.
Yeah. So roster his friends. That's what it was.
Okay, nice. So like it was kind of a thing, where you want to aspire to that kind of, well, some people want to aspire to that kind of type of piece, be the leader. So it was kind of cool to be that. And I try to, shoot out tips to, guys, like before the game, I'll be like, all right, these are the guys we need to watch out for. These are the things we need to make sure that we're covering, to try to be sure that we're being as competitive as we can be, and not just kind of trying whatever and end up getting burned on it. So, especially, like I said, we play Rough Riders. Watch out for that guy right there, Jeff. His name's Jeff. He's the best
Jeff
guy that
and
got.
Nick, when Nick's there, Jeff, Nick, and Dan. Yeah, watch out for those guys.
Yeah.
That trio passes very well as well too. Now, obviously, this season being the expansion team, you've been playing 3 really seasoned T1 teams in the High Rollers,
Yeah.
in the Rough Riders. They got their players back from injury. Rough Riders did, and also, of course, that's what you said, defending champ. So it's really a tough draw for you. How do you keep the guys motivated, knowing that, hey, look, every Monday might be a tough night for us?
That's pretty much what I tell them too. I'm like, look, for seeing how we've gotten, like, I didn't know how the only person I knew going into the game was Chris Hans, because I played with him for Capitals last year. So everybody else was brand new to me, at least. I think most of the guys are new to this league too.
Most of them are, yes. Correct.
So it was kind of coming in and being like, look, guys, this is going to be a tough league. Like, I don't know how well everybody is. Let me know what you like to play. We'll try to, make shifts as well as we can, and try to, say these are the things that, we usually need to do around this league to be competitive. And for the most part, we have. I mean, we've been kind of gelling a little bit more, scoring some more goals than we have since the week before, or like being able to handle the puck and actually create a play. Because, I mean, even though the last game we scored 4 goals this week.
Yeah, you had 5 this week.
5 this week? Okay. And, I mean, we hit the post, 2 or 3 times in the last minute? Yes. So we definitely could have had a lot more.
Yes. That's part of it, obviously, is offense and getting chemistry together, especially in D1 in our league. But it seems like that offense is coming around. When Eric shows up, when you're there, when you have consistency, the chemistry is being built there. You guys put the puck in the net, which is going to be what you need to do.
Yeah, so, And it's slowly been kind of coming in. And I know some guys were getting a little tired at parts this past week then too. And I was just like, look, keep your heads up, make good passes. We can't just throw the puck. This is not a league that you can kind of just do whatever. If you're going to throw it, we need to dump and chase. We can't just throw it and be like, okay.
Yeah, not in D2 maybe. But not in D1, not against these guys.
Yeah, and I mean, I kind of told him, I was like, now that I've had a couple weeks to play with them, it's like, all right, I feel like we're in that awkward in between. Like we're pretty much a step below most of the other teams that are around. We can compete, but we have to. We're going to have to play really well to compete with them. We have to limit those mistakes. But if we move down to D2, we'd probably be one of the top tier teams there. So it's kind of that awkward in between. So.
Yep, that's how it works out. Now, speaking of Nick and Jeff, the last game that I just go quick recap there. That was a game that was another instant classic. You missed that game. This great comeback where the High Rollers with 1 sub had a 3-4 goal lead late in the game, and Stephen Dorsey played lights out. He probably had his best game ever. He was stopping shots left and right, and Nick and Jeff and Dan were getting frustrated. Like, this guy is playing out of his head. So, but they broke through late. Scored 3 goals. Spike scored a late goal with under a minute to go, and it being an 8-8 tie. So Rough Riders and High Rollers ended up being an 8 tie. That was a great game as well too. Now, with that being said, in terms of division and what you are right now in terms of D1 and D2, what division do you like to play? I mean, obviously we were all competitive. We want to play in higher division. Which division do you like to play more, D1 or D2? You're on both divisions.
It's kind of I feel like that's a conditional question because I mean, the thing is, at the end of the day, this is a rec league.
Pure enjoyment, nothing to do with skill level or
exactly. So at the end of the day, it's a rec league. So you kind of, and obviously, if anybody tells you differently, they're lying. But you always have more fun when you're winning. So
right.
if you're on a good team, you're doing well, like that, then you're going to enjoy that one more. So it could shift from year to year. So I mean, but right now it's. Eminence Front obviously we're in a tough position for it, but it's still fun to try to play, to be playing with these guys and towards it. Yeah, it's kind of, this is more of it's fun, but it's more challenging where, we have to take that extra step up to be able to win these games. So, and I think within the next week or two, we could probably, if we're not winning, we're going to be a lot closer, because I know a lot of our games that we've been down by 3, 4, 5 goals. So, if we can kind of, finish kind of getting that gel and get everybody there, because I know Jason wasn't there this past week. Adam ended up, I guess, hurt his foot during the Capitals game, so he kind of pulled out. We had 3 subs, and then we went down to 2 because he had to pull out. So it's like if we can get a full roster, I think that we could do really well, and kind of start turning some heads probably too. And then even with that's what she said. I mean, we had, like I said, we had a couple good, big, tough losses, but it's still a very good team. We got some good talent on it, and even though the Sophie and I keep forgetting the other guy's name. JP, that's it. I was like, I know it's initials, but I can't remember which ones. Yeah, Sophie and JP, like, they've been playing together, so they've got a little bit there themselves, but they do keep their heads up, and they've both made some really good passes. Sophie just comes to mind more just because she had a lot of really good passes this week, and JP's had him in the past where he's gotten some good steals, some breakaways. And then getting those passes up to be able to kind of get that long pass up for a good breakaway, and so yeah, I mean, both of them, I think that one we're going to be very competitive on that one. Once we kind of everybody's healthy and everybody's doing fine for that one, because I know we lost kind of a little bit there. Well, we also lost a couple players. I mean, I guess G plays when she can, and then I know Patrick is out because he had the
surgery. So he's gonna be out for a while as well too. Yeah. Well, now to talk about RHL, let's talk about you, Jeff Babb, the person. Obviously, you are a comic collector. Is that the correct terminology?
Yeah.
Okay. So I know I've seen you on Facebook. Go into all these comic. What do they call those shows? What's the terminology? Yeah.
You can do just like Comic Cons, basically.
Comic-Cons, yeah,
different conventions and whatnot.
Tell me about your love for comics and how you got started in that. That's very unusual, at least for me anyway. I'm not very well versed in that topic. So
you're unusual, Suds. Yeah, no, it's I mean, that was kind of a. So I mean, I read comics as a kid. I have a lot of my dad's old comics actually. This is one of my dad's ones from when he was a kid and everything. Wow, so yeah. I used to read these as a kid, and they had, like, my grandparents' house. They had a huge stack of them in the basement. And so when me and my brother would go visit, we'd kind of go through. Oh, I haven't read this one before, and go through and read. There some of them were my dad's, but it was my mom's parents' house. So my mom's stuff, they had a lot of Archie and stuff like that then too. But yeah, no, so I kind of got really into Superman as a kid, and then, watched all the cartoons and everything growing up. And then probably about 5-6 years ago, I ended up kind of getting into a couple groups. This is something you don't know about me. I tried out for a show called King of the Nerds that was on TBS. They did a few seasons. It was basically a reality game show. Winner got $100,000. So when I tried out, I actually got pretty far. I got flown out to California, went in front of the producers and everything, and they ended up it was between me and 2 other people, and they chose this one guy that had a YouTube channel that had like 500,000 subscribers at the time. Gotcha. So I knew they picked him as soon as they told me they didn't. But yeah, that kind of. When I saw the first season, I was like, this is awesome, and it kind of woke up I've always been like the jockey type. Like I said, I played sports since I was a kid all the way through high school. And I mean, I played intramural stuff in college and stuff then too, and then started playing hockey after college. But I always kind of had that love for the comic book type stuff and the nerdy type stuff. So that kind of woke up a bit after trying out for the show. And so I started getting into, looking into more stuff like online, and saw these groups of people that were, I went to a couple conventions first, and then that kind of seeing all the comics and everything they had. And I saw that, there's some comics that are worth a decent amount of money out there. It's like, wow, so try to.
So do you do this for as a hobby, or is it also kind of an investment type? You invest in these books because they're worth money down the road, right? So. Both.
Yeah,
Okay.
both. So I mean, I started off buying, comics that I wanted to read. So I got a lot of Wolverine was always one of my favorite guys growing up, and Superman, and then I had a more recent love or renewed love for Batman with some of the stuff that he's gotten then too. So I was buying a lot of that stuff when I started, and then it was like, all right, and then seeing the investment parts that you could do on things. So I started kind of getting some that were what's considered a key issue. So where it could be, which I mean, some of these are maybe a lot of old comics you can get for 50 cents a dollar, something like that, and then you can get into ones that'll be $5. And then you can get ones that'll be $50, then $500, and then $5,000. And then you've got the Action Comics #1 that sold in 2014, I think it was. It was Action Comics #1's the first appearance of Superman. Wow. So, and there's grading companies out there. The biggest one, CGC, CBCS, where they will basically go through the book, look at the condition, everything, and then encapsulate it and give it a rating out of 10. 10 being perfect, 0.5 or no grade, basically saying, this thing's barely holding itself together. There could be things just cut out entirely, essentially. And so this Action Comics #1 was a 9.0. And you're talking about that book is from 1937, I think. So
price point of that one.
So that one sold for $3.2 million.
3.2 for a 9.0 grade, so to speak, out there.
Yeah.
9.0.
That is the highest graded the highest graded Action Comics #1 there is.
So what do you have? What would you say is the most valuable that you have right now?
I actually just sold my most valuable one a couple months back because I was like, you know what, I'm going to get out of it for a little bit, try to pay off some stuff, and then I'll try to get back into it later. I had a Spider-Man #1, which was a 2.5, and it was signed by Stan Lee, and I ended up selling it for $7,000.
Wow, that's awesome.
So, and I paid about $3,000 for it a few years ago.
Wow.
So
investment gain as well too. Now, okay, one question that comes to mind is, what would what particular comic are you looking to collect and be ownership of? Is there a particular piece that I want to get that piece? Do you have something in mind?
Yeah, I mean, there's certain books that like I said, there's a lot of key comics. So it's basically something that happened within those that, it's like, oh, I kind of want to have one of those because I really like that. I mean, it could be anything from the cover art, like the person who did the cover art, the first appearance of a character, a villain, something like that. Or, I mean, there's just like personal stuff, where it's like, oh, I mean, there was an X-Men #1 comic that I like. It was a 90s one where they kind of did a reboot of sorts that had this Magneto one on the front. I mean, I really like the art on it, but I mean, it's not really a key book. It was a $1 book, but I just really like the art on that one. Whereas, the Spider-Man #1, I was actually, when I was looking for those ones, I was looking between an X-Men #1, like the original X-Men #1, and a Spider-Man #1, because I wanted to get one signed by Stan Lee before anything happened to him, which obviously something has now. So, which that was kind of why I did it. Like, I was like, I want to get something signed to him, and I was deciding between those two, and I found that one Spider-Man, and it had a good price on it. And Spider-Man's was kind of his baby, so that's why I was like, all right, I'll go after that one. I think one of my next ones that I want to go for after I kind of, save up the money and everything, is the Amazing Fantasy 15, which is the first appearance of Spider-Man.
Oh, okay.
So that one, though, is, a 2.5 on that one is probably going to be closer to like $15,000 to $20,000.
Wow. Yeah.
So, and then and when you get to the high grades in that, I think one of the highest grades was like a 9.4, or I don't think there was a 9.6 on that one, but yeah, there was a 9.4, and I think that one went for over $1 million.
Wow.
So
I didn't realize a lot of money in these comic collecting out there. Now, go back to my childhood. You tell me. Going back to Spider-Man, Superman, Firestar, Iceman. Did they select? Was there a comic book about them? I have no clue. Did they?
Yeah.
Did they have?
Oh yeah. They have Iceman's first appearance. That one, he's one of the original members, I think, of the X-Men.
Yes.
So whether it was actually in X-Men #1 or some other comic, I'd have to look. That I'm not sure of. I haven't really looked up much for him. But like, basically the Holy Grails are like, I mean, well, that's the thing. There's people that will say this is my Holy Grail because like for me it was a Hulk 181, which is the first appearance of Wolverine. So, and actually I had a 9.0 of one of those.
Wow.
I ended up selling as well, just because, like I said, I sold a lot of my bigger. I still have some bigger comics that some of them I'm looking to hold on to because I feel like one of them I have is Werewolf by Night 32, which is the first appearance of Moon Knight. Two big reasons for that one. Well, three big reasons. Secondly, one, it's a high grade, it's 9.0. Two, it's signed by Doug Moench, I think is how you say his name. He was one of the writers for, and the big thing is he does not do signings very often.
Oh,
so I have not seen any grade higher than mine that he has signed.
Wow.
So, and then Moon Knight hasn't actually been released out as, like, he's kind of been rumored as to, he may get something, whether, I don't know if they'll do a Netflix or I guess Disney's doing their own kind of, their own streaming channel now, whether they'll do that or they'll actually give him a major motion picture and kind of bring him into that. Because Moon Knight was more of Marvel's answer to Batman. So, he's got potential to have some kind of series there. So hold on to it, maybe see if something can happen, unless somebody offers me, some good money, I guess, for it. But I'm not really advertising too much that I have it. I also have a Brave and the Bold 28, which is the first appearance of the Justice League.
Okay.
So, which funny, over the last couple of years, since the Justice League movie came out, it's actually been dropping in price a little bit.
Okay, my last question on the topic is now over the last 5 years or so, there's a lot of movies coming out, with Superman, Spider-Man, and X-Men, Guardian. I mean, has that helped bring that particular comic?
That's actually what. Yeah, that's. I mean, comic books a lot of people will compare it to like the stock market. Mm-hmm. And there was actually an article I saw that was really great about it, where they're like, they're talking about, people that want to just go in and start collecting. It's like it's like the stock market. You need to know what to look for, what type of grade the comic is, what the importance is behind the comic. Even once you get to certain books, there's people that prefer, like I said, the grading itself isn't just a grading. There's also page quality to it, where, you could have white pages, so great pages, or they could be off-white, or they could be really bad and be in cream. So it's like people like, oh, those are cream pages, I don't want that book. So it depends on where you're getting to certain things. But the speculation with speculating happens a lot. Like, oh, there's a new character that's coming out this week. People are rushing to the comic book stores and buying all the comics up because they're like, oh, this could be the next big thing, kind of thing.
Right.
And then there's other ones that, some that people get very angry about. When Deadpool was officially announced, saying that yes, we're going to be making a Deadpool movie. New Mutants 98 was the first appearance of Deadpool, and that just skyrocketed. And people were angry about it because it was a very available book. Like, I think you had about a 250,000 print run, and it was made in the 90s. So it's not something where, like, Action Comics #1, there was a huge print run for that, but they put it on terrible quality paper. A lot of people, would fold it up, do whatever. I mean, this is, the 30s that was the start of superheroes.
Right.
So people aren't like, thinking, oh, this is going to be something big, and then, people would leave them, whatever, they put them into areas and they just kind of start deteriorating. So to get something in that 9.0 quality, that's where it gets to be super rare. Like I said, that's the highest graded quality. I've talked to some of the guys that are in the grading companies. They know of another copy that's better than the ones that they've done. But the guy that bought it basically put it into a vault and just kind of like pushed it away. Like, he's like, I don't want it to be encapsulated or anything. I want to keep it for myself. And, so, but yeah, I mean, that's kind of, so you're talking about before the announcement for Deadpool, that New Mutants 98 was probably maybe a $50 book, something like that. And then as soon as they announced it, at peak, a 9.8. 9.8 is pretty much the highest you're going to get. There are 9.9s and 10s, but obviously they're very rare. 9.8 is going to be the most common high grade that you're going to find.
Mm-hmm.
Those reached up, I think the highest I may have seen was like 12 to 1,500.
Because there's so much circulation. Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
it makes sense.
And like I said, people are complaining where it's like, do you know how many 9.8s there are out there? Like, this is ridiculous. And it's just like, it's the same thing with any kind of, retail. It's supply and demand.
Exactly.
It's like, there's a very large supply of this, yes, but the demand is way higher. So the price is going to keep going up until people are like, I don't need that anymore. I got one. And I have a 9.8 of that New Mutants. I've owned probably 8 copies of it, like just kind of like buying, selling kind of thing. And I've actually been usually on the up end, which has been nice for it. So, and even this last copy, I actually traded some other books for it. So it's like, I know that even if I sold it at the current price, I would have made money on it. But Deadpool is kind of a more current favorite, I guess, that I've had. So I actually had I've got a bunch of boxes behind me here. Those are just filled with comic books, but I have the volumes 1, 2, and 3. I have full runs of
Wow.
Deadpool. So it's like 1 to 40, 1 to 50, something like that. So each volume's different, but yeah, I have every issue of every volume of the first 3 volumes for that.
Wow. Well, Jeff, thank you for taking time here. I know we've been probably a little over time here, but thanks for talking about the comic section as well too. I've learned a lot about the comic business, so to speak, the business. I did not know there was kind of like like a stock market, but it's good to see that. And also thanks for playing RHL as well. Good luck to both your teams the rest of the way, and thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
folks, thanks for joining us well too for our show here on Roll With It here. We'll see you next week. We're already into week 5 action next week, so we're back here with another
halfway through
next
the
week
season.
as well too. Yeah, halfway through the season already. Things time fly by, doesn't it, Jeff? Thanks for joining us again, Jeff. Have a great week. We'll see you on Monday.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thanks, Suds.